Hello friends, happy Sunday. It is Sunday, April 24th. It is weigh-in Sunday. And before I get to my weight, for any of you who are new subscribers, welcome. I hope you're enjoying my channel. And if you are a new subscriber, I will link last week's video down below. You may want to check that one out. It will explain more about what is happening or what has happened this past week. So, any of you who follow me know that my goals this week were to up my food intake based on the number of fit points that I get in a week and the amount of calories that I burn every day.
Mom, donuts. My donut's blue.
Okay, you play with that one, okay? You can go find your crayons if you want.
Right.
Anyways, sorry. The expert told me that I wasn't getting enough food. So I upped my points from the normal 25 that I normally take in a day to 33. I put in 33 points every single day last week. Not only that, but I hit my fit point goal, which was 131. I actually got 132 last week. So I got 4 good jogs in last week and 1 day of workout in the house. So I did really well and I feel amazing. I worked really hard to fill that 8 extra points in a healthy way. I didn't want to just eat for the sake of filling out those points. That was my original concern when I talked to the expert, was that I shouldn't be eating if I'm not hungry. But I don't know that I don't think I was listening to my body, but I did not want to just fill those 8 points in with fluff food. I wanted to make sure that if I was putting extra food in my body, it was for a reason. So I worked really hard all week trying to make sure that those extra 8 points went to healthy proteins and good healthy fats. I still ate what I wanted. I cut back on my fruit. I tried to stay at 3 servings a day. Real servings, not 3 pieces of fruit, but 3 servings. And overall, I felt really, really, really good. My goal last week when I talked to you guys was that I wanted to get a protein shake in after my workouts. And it seemed like every day after my workout, it was just go, go, go. But I did have a Quest bar every single day after my workout. And actually, even the few days that I didn't work out, I had a Quest bar and maybe some fruit as a snack in the morning. So all of the Quest bars that I get are either 3 or 4 points, and they all have at least 20 grams of protein in them. So I feel like that's a pretty decent snack, and I try to make sure that most of them have nuts in them, so it has some healthy fats in it. And in the afternoon, I tried to really up the protein. A couple slices of turkey and some cheese maybe, and some vegetables or something like that. I worked hard every night for dinner last week. I tried to get at least a teaspoon of olive oil in whatever I was cooking. I've gotten really used to just using the cooking spray because it's 0 points. But I figured that was a good way to get an extra point every day, was to add a little bit of oil into my body. I tried to mix it up. I tried to eat something different at least every couple of days. It's hard because I like avocado toast. I'm actually addicted to it right now. But when I have it one morning, I have to have it the next morning because I have the other half of the avocado to eat before it goes bad. But I tried to mix it up. I threw a couple bowls of oatmeal in there. Even when I was eating the avocado toast, I tried to have a hard-boiled egg or a little egg mug. I tried making my meals a little more substantial. My meals are always very high protein, high vegetable. I'm one who I like at least a half of a plate of vegetables at dinner. But I was able to add a couple of things, one being the oil, and I used a lot more reduced fat dairy this week instead of fat-free dairy, which reduced fat dairy has more of the healthy fats in it than the fat-free. So I worked really hard to kind of fill out the day but not eat the fluff food. Lots of carbs and things that fill you up and then disappear. I worked really hard to fill the gaps with healthy options to eat. I got my water in every single day. I hit my fit point goal. I hit my step goal every day. I felt great. I felt better. My hands aren't swollen. My poor wedding rings, I went and had them looked at last week or the week before. I don't wear them when I'm anywhere but at home because they fall off my hand. And I took them last week to a jeweler to see about getting them resized, and they told me that they can only be resized once, so they didn't want to do it. They gave me one of the little metal, you put them on to tighten it, but it scratched it, so I took it off. So I haven't been wearing my wedding rings when I'm not at home because I don't want to lose them. My clothes felt better this week. I did do my measurements this week, but next week falls right on the 1st, I think. So I'm going to wait one more week because it's been 3 weeks. Because actually, the way that it all worked, the last time I did measurements was the last Sunday in March, just because of the way that they fall. Hold on. Sorry about that. Okay, so anyways, long story short, I added the extra food. I did not feel like I ate just to eat. I didn't feel like I was eating when I wasn't hungry. I actually, any of you moms or even, I don't know, anybody else, I'm the type of parent who all day long, my kids are small, 2 and 4, they're very active, they don't generally sit down and eat a meal except for supper. The rest of the time they like to sit at their little table in the living room, or they like to just snack. They just don't have the attention span to sit and have a meal, which used to be a real fight for me. I used to fight, and it used to make every meal miserable. And I finally decided that it was a fight I did not want to have. So they start at the table, they eat a few bites. When they're ready to get down, they get down. And they come back and they pick at their food. But there's kind of always food around. Little bowls of crackers, little bowls of fruit. There's always like half-eaten meals kind of just laying around. And I'm always picking when I go by. I didn't find the need to do that this week. I found it, my inner feeling was fine throwing that food away. If I saw it laying around, I was like, I don't need this. Toss it in the garbage. It's been sitting out anyways. It's not, you know, going to break the bank. 1 or 2 crackers or, you know, whatever it is. I didn't feel the need to pick when I was cooking. I didn't feel like those afternoon snack attacks that I've talked about before, standing in front of the refrigerator like, okay, what am I going to have for a snack? And then kind of getting in the mental fight, am I hungry or am I bored? And I would always kind of shut the fridge and walk away like, oh, you don't need a snack. And I would always feel unsatisfied. And not that it would create a binge or anything like that. I wouldn't eat and I'd just feel miserable about it. You know, oh, you don't need the food. Just walk away and find something to do, which is fine. Instead, I would have a planned snack that was good for my body, and then I moved on with my day. So between all of the small meals and snacks, I was drinking water. I didn't feel that picking, hungry, bored, run to food that we all tend to do every now and then. I did not eat after dinner, not one night last week. When I spoke to the expert last week, she told me to gear myself up and that I may very possibly have a gain this week. And I didn't. I lost a whole pound this week. So last week when I weighed in, I was at 184. And this morning when I weighed in, I was at 183. So I lost exactly a pound, which brings me back to 183, which I was at maybe 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, before I had those 2 gains. I was at 183, and it was the lowest that I'd ever gotten on Weight Watchers. So I'm super excited. I got back there in just a couple of weeks, and it didn't get me too off track. And I'm actually really excited to see what the next week will bring, because I did a little experiment, and I'm going to tell you a little secret. I already made this video, and it was like 26 minutes long. And I'm not going to bore you with all the details, and I know that this program is not calorie-based. Calories are not the most important thing. However, when I talked with the expert last week, she had talked with me about how right now, or at least last week when I talked to her, my deficit was too big. I was not feeding my body enough for the amount of calories I was burning every day. So I was kind of intrigued. Like, I would like to know, based on my tracker here, it tells me, now I know this isn't 100% accurate because we've talked about it before. There are a lot of activities that we do in a day, things like grocery shopping or where your arms are steady. You don't get those steps. So I'm sure that you don't get the calories for that either. But on average, I burn anywhere from 2,000 to like 2,500 calories a day. I pull in about 15,000 steps. I mean, I jog 3 to 4 miles a day, 4 to 5 days a week. That's 8,000 steps a day right there. So I burn about 2,500 calories in a day. So I was curious to see what I was putting in. Well, I'll say 2,000. 2,000 was more the norm this week. 2,200, roughly that. I did 3 days this week where I wrote down all the calories that I input, how much calories I am eating in a day. And on average, it's about, it's about 1,300 to 1,400, 1,300 to 1,400 calories a day I'm putting in my body for food. What are you looking at? Oh, thank you. So then I had to Google, like, what you should be eating versus what you should be burning. Please don't do that. And everything I could find said that you should, to maintain a 1 to 2 pound loss every week for weight loss, you should be burning between 500 and 1,000 calories more than what you eat, which I am, or I was last week. I don't know what I was doing before. The deficit was probably too big. The numbers between the two, she wants to be tickled, were probably too big where my body was, as the expert told me, starving myself. So that's kind of it for today. That's as much as I'm going to go into it, but I've been tracking my calories just to see what's coming in and what's being burned off. And I think I'm doing right what I need to be doing. I'm not feeling overly fed. I'm not, because that was my concern, was that I would feel like I was eating just to eat. And I really felt this week that I was eating to fuel my body, that my body is working better. I am drinking less coffee. I feel more energetic. I'm sleeping better at night. I just felt better. So we're down a pound, and I'm anxious to see what will happen next week now that my body is a little more used to the extra calories in it. To see, okay, hold on a minute. You're not in the cup. To see what my body does with that fuel this week. The expert told me to expect a gain this week and then things would level out. Thank you for sharing. So I'm hoping to continue to lose, and I'm okay with whatever happens as long as it's working and I'm going down. But I would really appreciate a good solid week where I lose a couple of pounds. I haven't had a week like that in a long time. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what this next week brings. And I'll be checking in throughout the week, hopefully get a couple of videos done. We're going out of town for a few days, so I'm not really sure what's going to happen, and this will be, you know, a chore to try to stay on track, but I'm going to do it. So I'll check in. I hope you all have a fabulous week, and I'll see you next Sunday.